Hello, Mariana. I'm so
Ah,
glad to see you again.
pleasure.
Met early in your process, and you had such a beautiful journey since. We're talking on November 15th, 2022. And Mariana is in Ohio, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about how she got there. And I am today in Porto Alegre. So we're speaking across the globe, which is always very
Yes.
exciting, I think. So tell us a little bit more about where you are in the US.
So I am in Columbus, which is the capital of Ohio. We call the Middle West of the United States. It's a little bit north towards southern Canada. It's not a popular state, so apparently a lot of, especially Brazilians, they don't know where it is because it's not like a tourist destination, I would
Yeah.
say.
And this is very different from where you came from in Brazil. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, definitely. So I am from Amazon. I was born and raised in Manaus, and my husband as well. And my daughter was born there too. And we moved to Columbus, July.
Very
Why?
recent. Yeah.
Yeah, recent. Why Ohio? Because my husband, he's a dentist and he plans to practice here in the US. And he was accepted in a fellowship program in OSU. And that's the reason why we are here.
OSU is the Ohio State
The state
University,
university, which is
right?
a very
Yeah.
prestigious
Yeah.
university here. And
I
that's how we
worked
met through Felipe. Reach Dr. Julia to help him with his resume, everything that involves the process. And that's how we met.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Since I already know that we were going to live in Columbus and was researching jobs online just to have an idea. Okay, so what can I do
Yeah.
there when I get there?
You knew you were going to Columbus, Ohio. And how does a person begin looking for work? What were your first steps in this process?
For me, I believe it was a little bit easier because I have lived in the United States before. I lived in Miami for 10 years. I went to Miami after I graduated high school to go to
Mhm.
college and got my associate and my bachelor's degree in Miami. So for me, it wasn't that hard because I had done this process before. I work in American companies before with a bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising, and I wanted to do something related to my degree. So I was just researching online, like how was the market. Online, you can find a lot of information.
What kind of sites did you use? I think that could be
Well,
interesting for people listening.
I searched the Bureau.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Yes, exactly. I
That
mean,
gave you
Ohio, all the insurance companies are here. Their headquarters are here. They're really big on that. That's where the wealth come from.
so it sounds like you did some market research before
I
you even
did.
started
Yeah,
applying.
exactly. I did that. And I believe that that's really important. Even though I didn't want to work with insurance, I didn't want to work with agriculture as far as cornfields, but it's good to
Right.
know what is strong on the state that you're going to live in. So you know where the wealth is coming.
So that's
So I knew that I
interesting.
was going to go back to anything related fashion because that's my degree.
So it sounds like you knew you wanted retail. You knew you wanted to be in the fashion field. This is just beautiful how you had a strategy.
I just believe that if you have a plan,
Yeah.
things will work in the end.
So you started looking, I imagine, sites like Indeed,
Zip Recruiter, Glassdoor, a really good one.
Glassdoor.com.
Glassdoor is amazing because you can search the average salary for each position, that specific company. It's a really good tool. Even though that you don't apply to Glassdoor, usually here in the US, they don't advertise the salary for the position.
Tell us about that because I think that's new for most people. That
Well,
a high level position is actually a long process.
yes. Okay. I wasn't applying for a high level position. I thought, let me start at the mid level position and then I can grow. So I applied for a few positions, assistant manager, and went to the first interview just by reading few questions throughout the internet and thought, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this. And then it wasn't that good. And like, okay, I need to do something else. And then you told me after we finished our resume, you told me,
Yeah.
oh, it's a book because I think it's gonna help you. I'm like, okay, I will. And then we move. So I didn't have time to read the book. And then after the first interview, I'm like, you know what? Let me
What we're talking about. We're talking,
read Dr. Julia's book. So I got my Kindle, I bought the book, It took me like 2 days to read the whole book because that's how good it was. And it's
Yeah.
like easy to read and it's so easy, especially like if your English it's not an advanced level. It's
Yeah.
so easy to read. You just give examples, like real life examples. It's just easy to process. So after I read the book, I went to a couple more interviews with big companies as well, like Warby Parker, Fitch. Their headquarters are here. These two positions were for assistant manager. And then I went to the interview. They all loved me. They wanted to hire me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to wait for this other job that I had applied for.
Did you actually turn down the assistant manager?
I was lucky because I had applied for assistant manager at a company that I always love because I'm a client.
Yeah.
I think between Warby Parker and Hollister, I was done interviewing. I was just waiting for an offer from both of them. And then I got this email, hey, we got your application. Thanks for applying. But are you okay if we set up a job interview for a store director instead of assistant manager? I'm like, what? What? So I went to Glassdoor and I'm like, okay, how much they paying for store director? And then I saw that the salary was amazing. And then I'm like, yes, let's do it.
Clearly, you were underestimating yourself because they
Yeah.
were seeing something in you that you didn't think you were capable of. What what happened there between what you thought and what they saw in you, do you think?
I believe after I read the book, it just gave me more confidence. I'm like, so I have all it takes. I have all the skills. I have all the experience. I just need to organize my answer. And I have to make sure that I'm telling them exactly what they want to hear. That's that you told me when we were doing our one-on-one sessions on the job post. They give you, it's there what they want to hear.
Remember, we actually looked at some job posts
Yeah.
together to
We
see
did.
how we were going to adjust the resume to those positions. Yeah. So
And if
everything you need to know really is there.
you just have to know how to look. And there's a whole chapter in your book that talks about that. I just wrote out all the questions, and then I wrote down all my answers following your tips on the book. Then that's how I went to the interviews. And of course, I did it in the company. You got to know where they come from. You got to know their numbers. Usually big companies are public. So you find all their numbers, all this information online. Then I did my interview for
A store director.
I did my first interview over the phone, which that's something really common here in the United States. I did my first interview with the HR in New York because their headquarters is in New York. And after that, I did a Zoom interview, just like I'm here with you right now. I did another one with the district manager, which is not my boss. And then after that, I did another Zoom interview with the regional manager, which is of the company, also through Zoom. It is a long process because after the interview, we're going to let you know. And then you just have to wait. One thing that you have to do, which was a game changer for me, you have to email them. You have to email them right after the interview. Hey, thank you for your time. It was amazing that you took time to tell me more about the position. Then what I did also after a week, if I didn't hear from them, I would email them again.
And that made all the difference.
Yes. And in my case, they were opening a new store. And then since they were opening a new store, I just emailed them, hey, I know that you guys are opening a new store. If you need any help, I'm here. Like whenever you guys need, I just made myself available. And then I got the offer. Everything's formal here in the US. Everything has to be on paper,
Everything.
order. Nothing's just, okay, I'm telling you this, so this is how it goes. No. Everything has to be written down, recorded. After I got the verbal offer, now you have to go on the website and officially accept the offer.
I'm wondering if you could tell us just a little bit about what you were asked
I think I went to 5 job interviews in total.
for this one position.
In every single one of them asked, do you have any questions? Every single one. So that's something that always pops up in the end. Good question. This one, it's I think it's like my number one that I always ask them. What are the goals for the company that 5 years?
Yeah.
I want to be aware of that. So I want to be on the same path, making sure that I'm getting to reach that goal. So
Yeah.
that'll be
What you're showing is future orientation. you're already seeing yourself in the company 5 years from now. So it's so much more than a question, right?
Exactly.
Seeing
Showing
the
them
work.
that you want to stay in the company for a long time. You are showing that you want to make plans for the future, like
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah.
Americans love that. They
Yeah.
just love it.
Especially now where people are getting hired and leaving very quickly because there are other options. If you
Yes.
can show that you have decided to commit to them, that's an extra point in your favor.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's a winner question. And
Yeah.
then if they're going to interview you for the second time, and if it's the same person, which sometimes happens,
To the same question. Yeah.
yeah. Another one will be, okay, so what do you want to see from a candidate that you hire? What do you want them to accomplish in the first 30 days or the first 60 days?
Excellent. Excellent. Because you also set a timeline, right? Americans love the
Love that.
timeline. The first 30 days, the first 6 months.
Americans, everything needs to be a starting point and an end point.
Yes. Were there other questions that you thought might be tricky for somebody to prepare?
Yes. There's a tricky one. Okay, candidate, what's your blind spot? This
Yeah.
one is not your weaknesses. Weaknesses is something that you are aware of. You want to tell us what your weaknesses are, but you
Yeah.
also that you are working on them.
Let's
With-
repeat that. If the question comes up, what's your weakness? You can speak about a weakness you
Yeah.
had in the past that you became aware of and you're working towards improving because this idea of progress is very
Yes.
important for Americans.
Yes. That's something that you're aware of. But if it's a blind spot, it's something that I'm not aware. So a good way to answer is that, okay, my blind spot, I wouldn't know if that's a fault that I have, but I'm very open to feedback and criticism can make me grow. So if there's something that you see that I'm not disagreeing, you just come to me, give me the feedback, and then I'll make sure to correct them.
Excellent.
We just want to know if you are open to criticism.
So it's not really a question about your blind spots because you can't see it. It's an opportunity. Sometimes I have people say, but they didn't ask me anything about this. You can shape the answers, right?
Yeah.
So right there in your answer, you are understanding that this is an opportunity to tell them that you're open to listen to their feedback, to be responsive to their feedback. Love that you started thinking of yourself as an assistant manager and then we're seeing for your potential and look at how you're performing.
Yeah. I am happy with the way things turns out. And the company that I am right now, it's such a big company. They have 300 more stores in the US and they're very flexible. So let's say that's decided to go to Yukon and
Yeah.
then I can check whatever position is available there and then they can just for me. They're very flexible on that. So that's really good for you.
So as we come to a close here, what if somebody is in a country like Brazil and just beginning to look at this process, what is one big lesson you learned that you think others should be aware of?
You have to drop the Brazilian state of mind. Just have to go into the American mindset. I think that's the hardest thing to do because it has to do with culture.
Give us an example of the Brazilian mindset that does not work.
Well, we take a lot of things like personal, I would say. We involve ourselves personally into the job. That's why they say that we are warm people because we tend to get emotionally and personally involved in our profession, which is fine in Brazil. But here, no, you don't do that. Yeah. And then you have to be really careful with what they call harassment. Like I am in a position right now that the conversation that I would have with an employee of not doing their jobs in Brazil, it's totally different than the conversation that I have here. I have to speak twice before I talk to someone. I have to make sure that I'm not gonna get sued because here it's big thing. So here you just have to be careful before you do anything, even with clients in the store. You have to be like the other day, I had an employee that was putting up the Christmas decorations at the store and he was working with a ladder, like a small ladder. And he forgot a ladder in the middle of the store. And then there was this kid running around and the kid tripped and fell on the ladder in the middle of the store. I'm like, oh my God. I went straight to the mom and then I just make sure that the kid was fine. Thankfully, nothing happened in the US, like culturally wise, and then also the laws are different.
What I'm hearing you say, we have this tendency to think that if we know the English language, we will be fine.
Just a small portion of it.
And I think a lot of people, before they immigrate anywhere, they think that that's enough. Even if I don't know English really well, once I have that, I have everything else. And I like to think, I've just recently started thinking about the language as a collection of ingredients.
Mhm.
And if you don't know how to put them together into a fabulous meal, it doesn't matter how great the ingredients are. And the cultural knowledge is the recipe, how to use those ingredients to reach the flavor that you're looking for.
Exactly. And the good thing about your book is that you go through a lot of that. I believe throughout all the chapters, the culture, the mindset of the Americans. I know that a lot of Brazilians that, oh my God, I couldn't live in the United States. I moved back to Brazil. It was really hard. I just think the United States is hard. I just think that you didn't take the chance to understand the Americans. Americans are very practical. I love that about Americans because I like to be a practical person. They don't want to waste time. They hate
Mhm.
waste time. They
Yeah.
just want it done. Okay, this is done. Let's jump to the next one. That's how they are. And Americans, they don't expect to get, hey, you're doing a good job because that's what you were hired. So
Yeah.
Americans are very straightforward. So
Yeah.
black and
Yeah.
white. That's it. And I honestly, I love that.
Yeah. This is great. What an interesting path you've had. Just what, a year ago, 8 months ago, you were in Manaus. And now you're in charge of the quality of the experience of your customers. That is a huge responsibility. You're representing this big brand. This
I
big
am. Yeah.
brand.
And in charge of my team, which is, I believe that it's the harder part than dealing with clients. So I'm having some bumps throughout my path.
Mhm.
It's part of the job.
Yeah,
That's why I went.
exactly. And they saw the potential in you, even if you didn't before.
And now I know that I'm capable of it.
Yeah.
Not every day is going to be a sunshine day. And the numbers, that's one big thing about Americans. They're all about numbers.
That is a big one. So it's not how much people like you. That's not the measure.
Not at all. In the end, they want the results.
Yeah.
And they want the results by following the rules. They're big on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mariana. You
I
gave
love
us
it.
a whole lot of interesting insights into how this whole area works and how the job searching process works. Thank you so much.